you know, he's going to be successful in his comeback, and I picked him to win.
Nobody expected this comeback story to flip the entire boxing conversation overnight. But suddenly, Errol Spence Jr. isn't just back. He's everywhere. And the reactions are getting louder by the minute. What looked like a simple return fight has somehow turned into one of the biggest debates in boxing.
I'm his fan. Like, when we build up, I'm like, man, hey, let me get your autograph. You know what I mean? Because I watched you come up. I'm older than you, but I watched you, rooted for you when you was in the amateurs, when you was in the Olympics.
Like he did the last time, Ortiz gonna finish him.
Wow.
So he gotta tighten up his defense.
10 steps behind you, right?
He gotta tighten up his defense. Boots looked like himself. He was sharp, he was explosive, and you know, the experience that he carried in the ring allowed him to be victorious that night, and his skills and talent.
And here's where things get interesting, because while fans were busy arguing over whether Spence should even return after such a long layoff, another storyline quietly started stealing the spotlight. Reports, interviews, and social media clips all began pointing in the same direction.
And Spence, like, I'm still a fan. I hope he do well. He beat Kell Brook coming off of a loss, an eye injury. You know, he beat Sean Porter.
In all fairness, he had to go over there to get that.
Like I said.
Did you think he would look like that, or did you think he would look better, worse? What were you expecting going in?
I wasn't expecting anything.
Okay.
I was just expecting to watch Xander fight and Boots fight, and that was it. And I know he's faster than most. He's more explosive than most, but at the same time, he's shown in the past that he can get careless and that he's going out there just to fight. You know, and I don't think when you get higher and higher, that's going to be enough.
Eddie said this would be a massive fight, you versus him.
People online couldn't stop talking about one thing, that new physique. Fans immediately started asking whether this was the strongest version of Errol Spence we've ever seen. Or whether everyone was getting carried away before the first punch had even been thrown. And just when you think that's the entire story, it isn't. Because one of the biggest surprises didn't come from Spence at all. It came from Terence Crawford. Yes. The same Terence Crawford whose rivalry with Spence defined an era suddenly started speaking with genuine respect, and boxing fans almost couldn't believe what they were hearing. Instead of throwing verbal jabs, Crawford praised Spence, talked about admiring his journey from the amateur days, and even admitted he'd been a fan for years.
I think we overhyping this victory in a sense where nobody picked Xander to win. I think it's going to be different when he goes up against a Fundora or a Virgil, because if one of those guys get him hurt like Xander did, I don't think it's going to be the same outcome. I don't worry about coming back to prove anything, but the only thing that I can say is I'm 10 steps ahead of him.
It completely shifted the conversation because now people weren't asking whether Crawford hated Spence anymore. They were asking whether something much bigger was happening behind the scenes. Suddenly, the rivalry felt different. Suddenly, the comeback felt different.
You're sleeping on my man Spence, man. I think Spence gonna do what he's supposed to do, man. I think, and then he fighting a guy that can really fight. You know what I mean? I'm not saying whether, you know, he's a good boxer, nothing else, but he comes to fight. You know what I mean? So this is gonna be a good test for Spence, I think. What Spence should be doing, Spence should be Spence, man. But he must move his head though. Because Spencer come right at you and just throw the punches. You got to, and work on catching them shots. You know what I mean? If you ain't going to move your head, you got to catch some shots. You know what I mean? With your hands, you know?
Decision is stoppage. How's that fight at?
I think it's going to be a stoppage. Somebody getting stopped. And you know I'm going with
Suddenly, everyone started paying much closer attention, and this is where things get even crazier. While social media kept replaying clips of Spence smashing the heavy bag and showing off his noticeably leaner frame.
Breakdown with Boots and Xander is, you know, I felt like Xander fought the wrong fight. You know, but, you know, a lot of people knew Xander was green and he was taking a fight too soon. But at the same time, you can't exchange with somebody that's faster than you and more athletic than you. So I thought that was the wrong game plan in his own right. You know, Boots is more faster, sharper, especially in the exchanges. And I think that's what led Xander to get hurt the times that he did get hurt, because he got caught with a shot that he didn't see.
Another wave of discussion exploded online. Fans weren't just analyzing punches anymore. They were analyzing every muscle, every movement, every training clip. Some believed this was the most disciplined version of Spence ever.
Against Errol is going to be that jab. What does he do against that busy, constant jab?
Errol
on Errol's
jab,
side.
right?
Yeah, Errol just keeping that jab in his face.
Yeah.
I mean, when Bomac prepared for Terence, he said that's the number one thing we got to take away from him. He fights off his jab. He gets confidence off his jab. He builds off his jab. He dominates you off the jab. So take the jab away, and we got the fight won.
Right.
Tim Tszyu is not Terence Crawford. Right. So I don't know how he deals with that jab. Again, I think Errol's bigger than him. He's at his best busier than him. But Robert Garcia said today he thinks Errol won't have anything left by the time they do make that fight.
He's really like one of those master kung fu artists, but in boxing. You know what I mean? So he's a masterful boxer. You know?
Yeah.
And so those are the kind of things that we're looking at.
Aqui, same point, okay? That's the side. Don't move the leg, no. Looking from, big, right?
Others argued that looking incredible in the gym doesn't always translate inside the ring. That's where the theories began multiplying. Reports suggested the long break may have allowed his body to recover in ways that years of constant competition never could. Others wondered whether the layoff had taken away the sharpness that only active competition provides. Nobody...
Oh, yeah. Oh, just taking...
Audience thinking that on fight night against Terence Crawford. So I'm questioning that kind of stuff. And what I took from their interactions together is Spence... We all have a button, Sean, right? Like we all have this one button, if you press it, that we're very sensitive to, a certain topic or something about our character that we've been through. And he pressed Tszyu's button when he said, you're trying to fight to get out of your daddy's shadow and you're not the caliber of your dad. And that really pissed Tim Tszyu off and made him say, you know, I was just trying to give you a handshake and a hug because this is really the last fight of your career, but you know, basically to hell with it now. Right. And you know, I think Spence is the bigger guy, but I'm leaning towards Tim Tszyu to win this fight. And again, I said it when we had Rahman on. I think he's the sharper puncher at this stage of their careers. I saw Spence getting off balance a lot in the Crawford fight, and yeah, he's fighting probably the best fighter of this generation in Terence Crawford. That'll do it sometimes. But I also just saw a fighter whose balance wasn't good on the punches.
He agreed on anything, which somehow made the entire comeback even more fascinating. And just when attention seemed completely focused on Spence, Tim Tszyu quietly reminded everyone that this story wasn't just about one man. Training footage started surfacing, showing Tszyu grinding through brutal sessions with complete focus. Every new clip seemed designed to send one message.
Classic Errol Spence, wanting to go over to Australia to beat Tim in his own his own land, his own city, you know, in Australia, his country, whatever the case may be, is one would refer to that as being ballsy, but it's Errol Spence. That's just who he is, you know. I'm inclined to believe that Errol Spence beats.
In life, you get hit, but nothing will ever stop me. It's not about how many times you fall, but how many times you can rise back up. My mission always remains the same, to be the greatest boxing family that ever lived. Each and every day, we focus on the 1%, the 1% that makes you unbreakable, unstoppable, victorious.
Don't overlook me. Suddenly, fans realized this wasn't just a comeback fight. It was a collision between two fighters trying to prove very different points. Spence wanted to prove he still belonged among boxing's elite. Tszyu wanted to prove the future had officially arrived. That alone would have been enough drama, but then respected voices around the sport started taking sides, and the predictions became completely split. Some experts argued Spence's relentless jab would completely control the fight. Others insisted Tszyu's pressure and timing would eventually take over.
You know, Tim Tszyu has obviously, you know, lost some steam, but he still got a good name and, you know, really mostly about his name. I don't know about his ability at this point, but, you know, with a guy like Errol Spence that's come off such a dramatic defeat and a couple years layoff, almost 3 years, it'll be, wow, time flies. You know, I think it's a good opponent. I like to see it.
2 years
Since the Crawford fight, yeah.
3 years, maybe 2 years. That's a good fight for him to come back. Because Tim Tszyu is also not at his prime anymore. He's been hurt. He's been knocked out. So that's actually a pretty good matchup for a return. It's also a good matchup for Tim. If he beats Errol Spence,
big name,
he gets another shot at something bigger. So that's a good matchup for both, actually. But he's going to Australia, so that's a little iffy there.
No, plus when you travel that far, it takes a long time to adjust to the weather, the food, the time. Yeah,
that could be a little tricky, but matchup-wise,
every interview only seemed to make the debate even louder. 1 minute, someone was calling Spence the smarter, more experienced fighter. The next minute, another analyst insisted Tszyu was entering at exactly the right time against a former champion coming off a long absence. Nobody could agree, and that's exactly why this matchup became impossible to ignore. Then came another twist that had fans talking. Sean Porter openly discussed the psychological battle surrounding the fight, suggesting that verbal exchanges between the two camps may have added even more emotion to an already dangerous matchup. According to
I've always been a guy that chases the toughest and baddest challenges out there. And when I got presented with Errol, who's undeniably one of the best fighters of this decade, I didn't hesitate, and I straight away accepted. I accepted not to compete, but I accepted because I knew that the victory is only on my mind. I know the challenge that is put in front of me. I'm gonna work super hard. And I'm coming for it all. I'm coming for it all. And thank you again. Victory is...
The discussion. Competitive pride had become just as important as physical preparation. Suddenly, this wasn't only about power or speed. It was about mindset, about confidence, about who truly believed they belonged on top when the lights came on. And if that wasn't enough, another layer appeared. Several respected boxing figures began praising Spence for accepting such a difficult challenge instead of taking an easier return bout. That decision alone completely changed public perception. Instead of protecting his reputation, Spence appeared willing to jump straight into another massive test. Fans online immediately split into two groups. One side called it fearless, the other called it incredibly risky. Either way, everyone was talking. Then another conversation quietly started growing. Reports suggested that fighting in Australia added an entirely different level of difficulty. Travel, time differences, unfamiliar surroundings, and thousands of passionate hometown fans supporting Tszyu suddenly became major talking points. Some analysts...
On July 26th, you will see a better, more improved Errol Spence. It was some time I had 3 years off, and I feel like it helped me mentally. It helped me physically, gave me some time to recover, and just enjoy life, enjoy the spoils of my wins, and just being with family, being with friends. If you watch my Instagram, you see me traveling, enjoying my kids, having fun. And people kept asking me, "Are you coming back? When are you coming back?" And I told them, I know when it's ready. I know when I'm ready to come back. And I knew one day that I wake up and I decide to come back. And if it didn't happen, then I wouldn't come back to boxing. So I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to put on a great show. I can't wait for July 26th to be fighting in Australia, to be fighting in front of his fans. I look forward to disappointing them, putting on a great show, putting on another great performance, and showing y'all why they nicknamed me the Truth.
Former world champion, and we know if we have a work cut out for us. We just know that Errol is going to be in the best shape that he can possibly get in, and with the experience and everything that he's been through in his life as a fighter, we feel comfortable in going to Australia to get this thing done.
Analysts believed those factors could become just as important as anything happening inside the ring. Others dismissed them completely, arguing that true champions embrace hostile environments instead of avoiding them. And then another respected voice entered the discussion. Roy Jones Jr. praised Spence's mentality, suggesting that people might be forgetting exactly how dangerous an experienced champion can be after being written off too early. That statement instantly fueled another wave of debate. Was boxing making the same mistake it has made so many times before by counting out a proven champion? Or was nostalgia influencing predictions more than current reality? That's where everything became even more unpredictable. Tszyu continued speaking confidently in interviews, making it clear that he saw this opportunity as the biggest statement of his career. He wasn't approaching the fight hoping to compete. He was approaching it expecting to win. That confidence immediately energized his supporters, who argued that momentum was firmly on his side. Meanwhile,
being a unified welterweight champion, the WBC, WBA, and IBF world champion. So it's great having him back. He's got big wins over some great names like Sean Porter, Kell Brook, Danny Garcia, Mikey Garcia, Yordanis Ugas. So it's just great having him back. I'm personally very happy, and I think that it's going to be a big night for him, big night for us. And
Tim Tszyu always turns up to fight. He's shown here on many occasions what it actually means to jump in the ring. He's a warrior, and I know that he wants to get back to the top. And the only way to get back to the top is to beat Errol Spence. And that's what we're going to see. We're going to see a great fight.
Errol Spence calmly explained that his time away from boxing had changed him mentally as much as physically. Instead of sounding emotional, he sounded relaxed. Instead of chasing approval, he appeared focused only on proving something to himself. Fans immediately started debating whether maturity could become the secret weapon nobody expected. And here's the part that really made people stop scrolling. The closer the fight appeared to get, the more impossible predictions became. Every new workout clip seemed to support both sides at once. Every interview created even more uncertainty. Every opinion from another former champion simply added another layer to the mystery. One analyst praised Spence's championship experience. Another highlighted Tszyu's activity and momentum. Another emphasized Spence's jab. Another pointed to Tszyu's pressure. Nobody seemed capable of delivering a definitive answer. It almost felt like the boxing world had accidentally created two completely believable realities, and fans had to choose which one they believed. That's why this story refuses to slow down. It isn't simply about a comeback. It isn't simply about youth versus experience. It's about legacy colliding with opportunity. It's about whether time away heals a champion or changes him forever. It's about whether confidence can overcome experience or whether experience always finds a way. And perhaps that's why even longtime rivals have spoken with unexpected respect. Because beneath all the headlines, speculation, predictions, and endless online debates sits one undeniable truth. Nobody truly knows what happens when the opening bell rings. Reports continue to suggest both fighters feel more prepared than ever. Fans continue building theories with every new interview and training clip. Comment sections continue exploding with predictions that change by the hour. And every fresh conversation somehow circles back to the exact same question. Has Errol Spence quietly rebuilt himself into an even more dangerous version after stepping away? Or are fans allowing excitement and online speculation to create expectations that reality simply can't match? Maybe that's the biggest twist of all. Maybe the real story isn't about who lands the first jab or who controls the later rounds. Maybe the real story is how one comeback has already transformed the entire conversation before the fight has even happened. Whether you're backing Errol Spence, standing behind Tim Tszyu, or simply watching to see what unfolds, one thing is impossible to deny. The anticipation has reached another level. The opinions have never been more divided, and every new interview seems to raise even more questions instead of providing answers. So now the spotlight is brighter than ever, the pressure is officially on, and the entire boxing world is waiting to discover whether this comeback becomes one of the greatest redemption stories in recent memory, or whether the biggest surprise is still waiting to be revealed. So tell me this, are fans witnessing the beginning of Errol Spence's incredible second chapter? Or has the boxing world completely underestimated what Tim Tszyu is about to do?